What is up, everyone? Welcome to the Fun with Friends podcast. I'm your host, Allie Coots, and today is the 2021 in review episode. I know it's one of your favorites. These years in review. Have to say, you know what? Got this one out quicker than I did last year. So we're still in January. And I think that's pretty fucking great. Last year, I think this episode came out like towards the end of February. So, you know, a little more on top of my game than I was last year. So we're already starting 2022 out strong. Yeah, this is going to be a short, sweet little episode, I think. I'll be taking a look back at what I said I hoped to do in 2021. And then I will tell you if I did that or not, if I achieved my goals. And then I'll share some of the bucket list items that I actually checked off that may or may not have been included in my 2021 hopes or resolutions, whatever you want to call them. And then I'll go through some of the stuff that I did in 2021 that I really enjoyed, that again, not necessarily were bucket list items that I have on my actual bucket list, or things that I wanted to do in 2021, but were just things that kind of happened that were pretty fucking sweet. So I'll go over that, and then I will share my my hopes and dreams for 2022. And, you know, next year in 2023, we can do this all over again. And it'll just be a never-ending cycle of years in review. Ooh, can't wait. All right, so in 2021, I guess in 2022, wait, let me think. Wait. So going into 2021, I don't even know where I am right now. What year is it? Okay. COVID years, I think we're in year like 2044 or some shit. Okay, so in 2021, the things I said I wanted to do in 2020, in 2022, things I said I wanted to do in 2021 are the following. Get physically fit, start a podcast coaching program, create podcast planners and templates, go to Ireland, visit my family in Nebraska, meet podcast guests in person. That's primarily aimed at a lot of the travel guests that I have on the podcast. I wanted to go to Florida and go snorkeling with manatees, and I wanted to launch a second podcast. So those were my top hopes and dreams for last year, 2021. And if you want to hear that whole episode, it's season 2, episode 13. And so yeah, you can hop on there and listen to me get confused about what year it is and what I'm doing. Quite similarly to this, I may have been a little more organized in that episode than I am in this one, but who cares? So out of those things, I did achieve some of them, not all of them, but you know what? That's okay. That's why they're just something to strive for. You don't have to, you know, just goals. So getting physically fit, definitely did not do. It's something I have on my list every year, something I never do. I have it on my list again for 2022 to get in shape. And I'm really hoping that I can start making progress on this goal. You know, I'm not talking about doing marathons or getting ripped or anything, losing 20 pounds, nothing like that. I could give two shits if I lose weight. I just want to be healthy and fit. And when I say fit, I mean if the zombie apocalypse happens, I want to know that I can at least run for a little bit before I get eaten. You know what I mean? I don't want to be the first one to go. But if I'm the second or the third, I'm all right with that. So I want to work on kind of my stamina a little bit and cardio, but then I also want to work on building a little bit of muscle. I used to, be an athlete and had a lot of muscle, and I kind of miss being able to pick things up and put things down. So I still have that as a goal. I feel like it's maybe a little more doable this year in 2022 than it has been in other years. And so, yeah, we'll see how it goes. Hopefully I can, like I said, make some progress in that area. I started a podcast coaching program. I did start that program. I did do that. I did launch a podcast masterclass and had that out there for a short minute. It's actually still out there. But I have found that, a lot of podcasters, right? We don't got a lot of money to toss around. So spending copious amounts of money on a podcasting course is not necessarily what someone will do if they want to start a podcast, because like I said, we usually don't have a lot of money while we're podcasting. So I've kind of reorganized that, and I did get I had my first podcast coaching clients last year. I have several of them, and that has been an absolutely wonderful experience. I love helping people with their podcasts. Whether that's through, coaching if they're just getting started, giving them advice on social media, providing templates, whatever it is. Like, I've done some social media management for some podcasts. I continue to create podcast planners and templates that are in my Etsy store. And I really just like being able to help people so that they can actually enjoy the ride that they're on, because podcasting is amazing and it's a wonderful, I don't know, I love it so much. And I enjoy it so much, and I love being able to help other people find enjoyment in podcasting however I can. So it's been really great being able to have some podcast clients and to coach some folks, and I'm really hoping that I can continue to do that in 2022 in whatever form that may take. So I definitely checked that off in 2021, podcast planners and templates. I've done that. They're in my Etsy shop. I'm going to focus a lot more in 2022 on building more of them, and not just podcast planners and, social media templates. I really want to start focusing on some different areas like travel templates, or maybe the better way to say that is social media templates for like travel focused profiles and stuff like that. So I've got some ideas in the works, and I really want to start building out that template shop, and just taking care of the social media side of things so people can, again, kind of focus on the ride and enjoy what they do and not have to think so much about social media. I did plan to go to Ireland in 2021. That did not happen. Lots of things, COVID, money, life. So I did not get to go to Ireland. It's still probably at the top of my list of places I want to go. So who knows? Maybe in 2022, this year, I'll get there. Whether that be for an extended period of time or like on a shorter trip. I do still very much want to go to Ireland and Wales and back to Scotland and, all the places. I wanted to visit Nebraska, and if I'm remembering correctly, I did go back in 2021. I think, because I went back and took for my niece's senior pictures. And so I took her photos, and I was able to stay, I think, for like a week and a half, which was nice, as always, to get to see family and wander the empty streets of Ainsworth, Nebraska, and reminisce about the good old days. So I was able to go back to Nebraska. If I make it back there again in 2022, that's going to be like a world record. 3 years in a row. Never happened before. Never happened. Not even when I was in college, I don't think. So it's totally possible. I wanted to meet a lot of my podcast guests in person. I was not able to do that, which is a bummer, but I do really hope that one day that our travel network can get together and have an in-person meeting and finally get to meet some of these folks face to face. I had talked about going to Florida and snorkeling with manatees. I still want to snorkel with manatees, like, so bad, but I don't know. I think I'm going to bump it down the list a little bit because I feel like I heard somewhere that like manatees aren't doing great right now. And so I feel like going into their like habitat and snorkeling with them and bugging them maybe is not like the responsible thing to do, if that makes sense. So moving that one towards the bottom of the list, I guess is what I'll say. And then also in 2021, one of my goals was to launch a second podcast. And I did that too. Katie and I launched the What You Streamin' podcast, which you can find. It's a part of the Fun with Friends podcast. So if you're listening to this, all you got to do is scroll down and you will find the whole catalog of What You Streamin'. And it was kind of my summertime podcast. I put a hold on Fun with Friends and kind of took a break to just let it sit for a moment and wanted to change, try something new, change pace and try my hand at like movie recap, TV show recap type podcast. And we ended up having a bunch of movie directors on, which was super cool. It did kind of change the vibe of the podcast, I guess. Like we had to be a little more professional, I guess, or serious. But I think Katie and I are still kind of pondering whether or not we will do another season of What You Streamin', or if we might just record an episode every now and then and throw it in to the Fun with Friends podcast as an episode. So we're still pondering that, but it was super fun and I love recording with Katie so much. Some of the best episodes are when it's just the two of us being stupid. Those are my favorite episodes and I highly recommend folks check them out. Let's see, let me look at my little list here. Things I checked off of my actual bucket list. So I have a little book, journal that I keep a list in of the things I want to do. And I was able to check off, I don't know, maybe like 8 of those items in the last year. So I was not able to publish my like big book, my novel, Echoes of Us, but I did publish a poetry book. She's Small But Mighty. It's Where We Once Existed. It's on Amazon. Go get it. Like I said, it's a nice short little book of poetry, and it was officially published by a publishing house, Bookleaf Publishing, so that's pretty cool. Definitely think I will do self-publishing probably going forward. I don't really see myself working with a publishing house in the future. I do think that 2022 is going to be the year where I officially publish Echoes of Us, my big book. Like I am very motivated to get that done and get it published. So I am hoping to do that this year. Other things that I did that I checked off of my bucket list, I had top surgery. I lovingly called it boobs be gone, and lobbed those suckers off, and it's been amazing. I do intend to do a full episode just on that experience, but I'm waiting a good probably like 6 months after before I dive into it, because I want to be able to relate what it's been like after 6 months of having had that surgery. It was the first major surgery I've ever had in my life. So that was scary in and of itself. I wasn't quite sure, am I going to have a weird reaction to being, put under? Is my body going to freak out? There's all kinds of scary things that can happen when you have surgery. I had an awesome surgeon, Dr. Gallagher, in Miami, and she specializes in like gender confirming surgery. So I was pretty confident in her skills and the facility. And it was kind of a wild ride. I thought I would be like really nervous for it when I got there, but there was almost like a sense of calm that came over me when I was heading into the surgery center. Like I don't know, man. Like it was just like finally it was happening. So it's something I've thought about and wanted for many years, and I've kind of kept to myself and not really shared with anyone. And then I just did it. And no regrets, no regrets so far anyways. It's been amazing. And I don't even know how to explain it. It's the feeling of, I don't even know if I could put it into words. It's honestly like one of the best things I think I've ever done in my whole entire life. Maybe not even one of, but the best thing I've ever done, especially for myself, in my entire life. And so I'm really excited to share that journey with you all in a later episode of the podcast. But checked that off of my bucket list, and it's just been absolutely fantastic. I can't say that enough. So some of the other things I did that I checked off of my list: I launched my podcast program, like I talked about. I launched my second movie podcast. I interviewed movie producers. Both of those things were on my bucket list. And then resin art was on my bucket list as well. And towards the end of last year, I learned how to do resin or create art with resin. And so I'm still playing around with that and have started creating bookmarks and charms and, cute little resin things. So that has been really fun, and it's been an amazing new kind of form of art to dive into. And I'm really, really enjoying it. And can't wait to see kind of where that goes this year and how, my new stuff does at markets and stuff. Because I'm still doing craft markets and trying to sell my wares to folks. So I'm hoping this year I'll be able to really step that up. Other things that I did in 2021 that were not on any list, I don't think. I went to Mexico for the first time. Went to a yoga retreat. Never done that. It was all on the same trip. That was actually episode 1 of season 3. I talk about that with Anna, who is the yoga retreat organizer, owner, founder, person. So I went to Mexico with her as part of the yoga retreat as their photographer, which was also a first for me. So I had, 3 new fantastic things in that one experience: going to Mexico, going to a yoga retreat, and also being a yoga retreat photographer. So it was a really great experience. The people there were just fantastic. I love all of them. And Anna and I have become friends, which is super cool because she lives close to me. So that was probably like one of the bigger highlights of 2021, with top surgery being the highlight of 2021. This was probably like right underneath it, I would say. It was super cool, super fun. I'm hoping to do more retreats with Anna in 2022. Of course, with COVID doing whatever the hell COVID's doing, again, who knows what is going to happen in the world. I also started another podcast. So I officially have 3 now. I started the Wandering Creatives podcast, and it is kind of my creative little podcast baby. It's my new one. It's my new babe. And it's all about exploring creativity and talking to makers and hearing their journeys and what their struggles have been and what their wins have been, and really just kind of sharing the stories behind the people who are creatives and artists and create the things and make the things that you love. When you go to a craft market, like, they're the ones behind the products. It's just been so great meeting all these creatives and kind of picking their brains, and I'm so in love with my podcast. Which sounds, I guess, conceited, but I love it so much. And I love to just connecting with all these amazing people. And so definitely give Wandering Creatives a listen, because we've got some pretty wonderful episodes out. I got my products in a store. I started selling some of my stickers in a store here in Wilson, North Carolina. So that's been super cool. Let's see. Oh, I'm doing like social media management, like full time. That's my business now. Podcast coaching still exists. Like I said, it's still there, but I've started working with a lot of local small businesses on their social media. I've been working with an amazing nonprofit out of Raleigh, helping them with their social media. And I'm finding it's something that I am really, really enjoying, especially the fact that I'm getting to help small businesses tell their stories through graphics and through captions and through their brand image. And I'm just really, really enjoying getting to do that and helping them get seen. So I'm looking to continue to do that in 2022 and to really ramp that up and have that be the focus of my business rather than just focusing on podcasters, which of course, in my mind, right, podcasters are small businesses, right? We are a brand, we are small businesses. So they are, of course, included in my ideal clientele when it comes to social media management and how we can promote these small businesses through storytelling. So I'm excited to see where that's going to go. I reconnected with one of my close friends, Catherine, in Florida. Hey, Catherine, if you're listening. We have known each other since 2012, and have kind of kept in touch a little bit, like every now and then. And then, in the last year, I feel like we've really kind of reconnected, and it's been great getting to reconnect with her. And I'm hopefully we'll be able to actually meet up in 2022 and this year and see each other again, because it's been many years. At the end of 2021, I moved into my own place. I have a wonderful little historic apartment in Wilson. I'm super close to the historic downtown area, which is where I want to be. I'm meeting all these like amazing arts and creative people in the area. So I feel like I'm finally getting like into the community a little bit more. So that's been really great. And then last year, I also spoke at a Makers Guild. And that was a wonderful opportunity and really neat experience. It was a Makers Guild out of Virginia. And I got to just go in and present, remotely and talk about how creatives can, market themselves, what platforms work best, how to use podcasting to do that, and, kind of just broke down social media marketing and how to use social media to build your community, because especially in times now where maybe actual in-person markets are not as common as they once were, how can you build your mailing list? What do you do if Facebook goes down again or Instagram goes down again and you can't reach your community that way? That's why mailing lists are important. And, here are other ways that you can grow your community and reach your community, even if you aren't meeting in person. So it was a wonderful conversation, and I'm hoping to partake in more speaking opportunities like that. I was also featured in a magazine. I forgot that. I had a whole write-up, Rising Star kind of feature on me in a local magazine. That was pretty fucking sweet. That was super cool. Shit. All right. Let's see here. We're wrapping up. Going into 2022, what are my hopes and dreams for 2022? I am trying to keep them smaller, I guess more things I actually think I will be able to do. As someone who does have anxiety and depression and ADHD and all of these things, I often set goals for myself or have these giant lists of things I want to do. And I can track these lists literally through my entire life, of notes and journal entries of things I want to do. And I never achieve them. And I'm realizing that I need to take smaller steps and not overwhelm myself, because that's easy for me to do. It's easy for me to make a list of everything I need to do, and then, executive dysfunction takes over and I just don't do anything, right? I'd rather just lay in bed and pretend like the world doesn't exist rather than try to do anything on that list. So I'm kind of approaching 2022 with that in mind, right? It's almost like when I look at house chores, right? I might need to vacuum and dust and do this and do dishes and all of these things. But for me, if I do one of those things, that's a great accomplishment. That is a win in my book, because I did one thing instead of doing nothing. And, I think for folks listening that also have anxiety and depression and ADD and stuff like that, hopefully that kind of resonates with someone out there, because it's definitely tough. It's definitely a challenge. And it's something that kind of bleeds into every aspect of my life. Especially running a business is difficult for me because it is a lot of lists and a lot of things that I need to do. And every day is a struggle. Every day is me laying in my bed going, okay, we just got to do one thing. And sometimes that one thing is literally just getting up and feeding myself. And that's okay. I'm starting to realize that less pressure on myself and less, means kind of less guilt, I guess, is maybe, feeling less overwhelmed, less guilt. And hopefully that will all lead to more positive self-feedback, self-talk. So we'll see how that goes. So I didn't want to make like a huge list going into 2022. And I wanted to do things that I think, again, that I can actually achieve. So the thing I have at the top is van life for the summer. And I do think this is totally doable. And the reason I have it on there is because one of the reasons why I started my own business was because I wanted to be able to travel more and be, remote and be a nomad. And I've not done that yet. I'm finding that out about myself as well. It's like a comfort thing, right? I like my space. I like, being in spaces I know and that I'm familiar with, and I have a routine. And so living kind of that nomadic lifestyle throws that all off. But I do want to try it. I want to see if I enjoy it. And then I can say, yeah, this is cool. Like, I'm going to keep doing this, or this is definitely not for me, right? So in the summer months, I think myself and hopefully a friend will be renting an RV and kind of setting off into the US and cruising around and going to national parks, working remotely, and just kind of trying that lifestyle out and seeing if it works for us or not. And it's super exciting to think about being able to do that with someone else and not doing it by myself. So I totally think that that is doable. And I'm excited to plan that and hopefully have that happen. I do still want to visit Ireland, or I gave myself some options. Like maybe go to Ireland. I would love to, go to Mexico again. That may be more of a better option than Ireland, or Paris or Spain. And the reason I picked the majority of those places, like Mexico, Paris, and Spain, are because I know people there. So it would be easy to travel there and stay with someone and spend time there. Whereas Ireland is a complete crapshoot. But again, I have someone that I may be able to go with, or I may be able to go with a group. So those things are more doable and achievable than, going to Ireland for 3 months and then Scotland and then Wales, which seems very overwhelming. And maybe, starting smaller is better for me. Like I said, I do fully intend to publish Echoes of Us. I 110% believe that that is something that will occur and will happen in 2022. I want to record an audiobook. Again, totally doable and definitely totally can happen. Go to a K-pop concert, which will be happening in March when Katie and I go to Epic High. Not necessarily K-pop, but like K-rap, I guess, R&B, whatever you want to call it. So that one will be checked off. Of course, continuing to work on my physical health. And the one place I do have in the United States that I really want to visit is Maine. It is somewhere that I, in my brain, have this like fairy tale dreamland of Maine in my head. And it's somewhere that I've considered moving to, but I've never been there before. So I do want to go and visit Maine and kind of check it out and see, what the vibe is and if it's a place where I would want to be. Yeah, that's what I'm looking to do in 2022, and of course, continue to build my business. If I can make it through 2022, fully working for myself still and not getting like a quote unquote real person job, then holy shit, I've done it. I have made it, living on my own. I got my own place and I got a business that's actually making enough money that I can support myself. So that's, we'll see how it goes. That's really all I can say. And I'm not putting any pressure on myself to do crazy wild things in 2022. And we'll just kind of see where it goes and what happens. And I mean, that's all we can do, right? Especially in the time of the vid. So that's all I got, you guys. I feel like it was a lot, mainly because you had to listen to me for like a full 40 minutes. Sorry about that. Sorry, not sorry. But yeah, let me know what some of your hopes and dreams are for 2022. I would actually be really interested in learning what folks are trying to do in 2022. And stay tuned. We've got some really great episodes coming up. Of course, we have travel expert extraordinaire Geneva from Unwrap Your Map will be back. We're having Jazz back for another episode. We have Gemma Shepherd coming up talking about being a sobriety coach. And I think I've mentioned this before, but this season of Fun with Friends is going to be a little wonky because I do want to do some other stuff, but I kind of said they're kind of longer term experiences. So there may be a couple like weeks in a row where there are no episodes, and that's just how it's going to be. Again, sorry, not sorry, but that's how it's going to have to be. But I do fully intend to keep doing the Fun with Friends podcast. I love it, and I've really enjoyed being able to connect with folks that I've met on here, and I'm really pumped to see where 2022 is going to take us. So, like I said, share. Let me know. I really want to know what your 2022 goals are. And please be sure to like, rate, subscribe, drop a review for the Fun with Friends podcast. Also, shout out to Germany. We are in the top 200 on the Apple podcast chart in Germany. So fuck yeah, I'll take that. Germany, thank you for listening. I appreciate it. And with that, y'all, get out there, try something new, and have some fucking fun. Bye. There you have it. Thanks, as always, for listening to this week's episode. Be sure to tune in for the next one. And if you are looking for some entertainment or you're bored, I highly recommend going back and listening to some of our previous episodes. You can follow the Fun with Friends podcast on Instagram at Fun with Friends Podcast. You can follow us on Twitter at FunFriendsPod1. We are also on Facebook. You can listen to the podcast on Anchor FM, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. As always, please like, rate, and review, and be sure to tell your friends about the podcast and get the word out there about it. And as always, my friends, go out there, try something new, and have some fucking fun. Bye!